Molcombria, the mining planet. Among all the planets in your local system in Atlantidadia, the world's richest in crystalia is the planet Molcombria. Molcombria orbits Proxima Centauri, a solar system in close proximity to yours, being 4.37 light-years away from Urantia. Molcombria orbits Proxima Centauri in an accelerated elliptical orbit, but is physically similar to Urantia in many ways, and the planet also occupies an equitable life field distance within a habitable zone from its sun, which is a red dwarf. Oceans occupy about one-half of the planet. Total inhabitant population of Molcombria is currently 4 billion, comprised of various levels of natives and migrant beings who journey from other star systems. The natives of Molcombria are giant-like, bipedal creatures called the Borgerm and possess unusual strength. The majority of the Borgerm are laborers in the mining industry, assigned to chores requiring great strength and endurance. Molcombria does not have a planetary prince, but is currently ruled by a Salvagian daughter named Demetriana of Molcombria, also referred to as the Queen of Crystals. Demetriana is a direct offspring of the universe Mother Spirit, Her Majesty Crystalia. Demetriana has ruled Molcombria ever since the long-reigning King Ordesco was exiled during the initial stages of planetary war resulting from the Nebadon System Rebellion. But despite the System Rebellion and conspiracies in Molcombria, Queen Demetriana and the majority of her staff have remained loyal to the Nebadon administration. However, her stepson, Prince Nolan II, had succumbed to defection, which caused great upheavals throughout the entire planet. Molcombria is registered as Planet 605 in your local system and designated a terrestrial mining world rich in crystalia among other precious minerals. Mining is the planet's primary industry, and large quantities of crystalia are exported from the planet annually. Molcombria has also been riddled by rebellion, but it remains the most productive crystal-rich planet in Atlantidadia. Molcombria is also rich in a variety of other precious gems, among them the precious blue crystal Uran, for which our planet is named, and Silene, a unique red diamond. Technology on the planet has flourished at a rapid pace, attributed to the technical contribution of beings of advanced orders that hail from outside your local system. Mining operations on Molcombria are continuous. At the time of this presentation, there are 742 active streaming mining operations mandated under the Nebadon administration, with 14 inter-universe excavation operatives maintained by advanced beings who hail from outside your local universe in a joint venture. Since they come from another universe, that means that they have another Jesus, they have another Creator Son than we do. These beings are known as the Zeta Recular, a hybrid race of beings who contributed immensely to mining, transportation, and other essential technology on Molcombria. Overall, planetary evolution on Molcombria is at the stage of technical development which Urantia is expected to enjoy during its 5th millennium. The majority of Molcombria's central dwellings, cities, are encapsulated by magnificent huge domes called Addisons, which are huge clear domes composed of a composite of silica and a transparent form of titanium known as myridine. In addition to protecting its population from the elements and establishing boundaries between cities and industries, Addisons also have the capability to control their respective environments. From other readings in the Urantia book, we know that the Borgern are what's called a non-air breathing species. They're very rare, only representing about 1 or 2% of the life forms. So they don't need the Addisons for themselves, but they need the Addisons for all the visitors that are coming from other worlds. Most travel on the planet is by air. Ultra-high-speed anti-gravity transport vehicles called a cyclodiscus are employed to transport beings to and from the planet, and a large triangular-shaped transport vehicles called a triacus are utilized, which in addition to providing mass transportation for the general population, are employed to export minerals and goods from Molcombria's many industries. Cyclodiscus and triacus also provide transport to and from the planet. These anti-gravity vehicles are capable of traveling many times the speed of light. Cyclodiscus function by uniquely concentrating space and modifying time, thus causing a metamorphosis of geographical location. These vehicles have made intergalactic transportation a reality in several sectors of your local system. Mooring stations are located throughout the planet, which electronically recharges transport vehicles, and the majority of energy systems on the planet are solar-powered. Hydrogen is used as an alternate, combustible energy source when necessary, extracted from water by solar electrolysis, something I've been suggesting that the Earth needs to do for 20 years. The residual oxygen is dispersed within the Addisons and continuously provides fresh air to the city populace. All communications on the planet are wireless, making hardwired electronic transfer obsolete. Personal transportation is automatically navigated and controlled by a network of bridged, ultra-high-powered navigation guidance computers which regulate velocity and overall air traffic. Tracking guidance systems are also employed in personal transport vehicles, eliminating any driver error and traffic accidents. Crystalia, which is Molcombria's chief export, is also an essential component of the memory systems used in electronic navigation technology. Default and rebellion have also riddled Molcombria, setting the stage for battles due to defection and conspiracy. During one of the fiercest battles of the rebellion, rebel forces under Satan's command had infiltrated and occupied over 600 inhabited planets throughout Urantia, with Molcombria becoming a prime strategic target. A defected Most High assistant named Soligar 7920 organized and headed rebel forces, and Molcombria became a key target. In execution of Satan's command, Soligar organized an army of more than 500,000 rebels and devised missions to overthrow and seize all mining operatives on Molcombria. Soligar also sought to gain control of all transport vehicles, thereby securing and encumbering huge amounts of crystalia. We will not speculate, but it is believed that Nolan II, the son of the long-reigning King Ordesco, was coerced into defection by Soligar's rebel operatives under the surrogate command of Uleron Mephistopheles, a defected archangel. It is believed that in return for a harem of 70 angels, Nolan II had divulged classified intelligence, including maps, mining locations, transport bays, and other classified information pertaining to military installations and arsenals, and most important to the rebels, the location of crystalia depositories. Over 500,000 rebels, headed by Soligar, split into 496 divisions, infiltrated and invaded Molcombria by extreme force, seizing all transportation and industrial operations, and hijacking tens of thousands of cyclodiscus and tricyclist vehicles, finally seizing a majority of the planet's active mining operations. Molcombria's military arsenals were also attacked and seized. All mining operatives on the planet came to a halt, and the aging, frail ruler of Molcombria, King Ordesco, could not cope with the immensity of the attacks. Ordesco fled into exile, leaving the rulership of Molcombria to Queen Demetriana, who then organized allied military forces with the Zeta allies who remained loyal to the administration. This superb military coalition established between the Zetas and the Molcombrians offered great resistance, and a slew of air battles outside city Addisons transpired. The majority of Zeta Regulae beings remained loyal to the administration and also engaged in air battles against the rebels. During the battles, all Addison entry and exit ports on Molcombria came under direct attack and were breached, thus allowing rebel transport vehicles to freely enter and exit its cities. In addition to the loss of multitudes of transport vehicles and severed intercity communications, casualties numbered into the tens of millions, affecting the overall population. Upon learning of the attacks led by Soligar, Queen Demetriana immediately suspended all mining operatives and escalated Molcombria's military resistance. Queen Demetriana and her subjects have remained loyal to the Constellation Fathers, despite the fact that her stepson Nolan II succumbed to default. Queen Demetriana has also censored her stepson Nolan II from administrative interaction, forcing Nolan II to relinquish his personal communicator and quarantining him from any form of communication with outside forces or with her staff officials. Nolan II was impeached, and since that time he remains in seclusion. In a surprising turn of events, the war on Molcombria reached a climax with an air force of over 1 million beings hailing from outside the local galaxy who joined forces with the natives of Molcombria. With their own advanced military vehicles and arms, the Allies supplemented Molcombria's defensive forces with a series of counterattacks against the rebels, who finally retreated in defeat. The war on Molcombria is an example of the evil, greed, and subterfuge that infiltrated the entire Noatidic sector, and by the same token, the steadfast loyalty of a number of beings joining in from outside your local system and bonding together to overcome the forces of rebellion. Evil separates, truth amalgamates. Spurning widespread defection, the Lucifer Manifesto and his Declaration of Liberty in effect had short-circuited and crippled all vital administrative industrial systems throughout Nebadon. Rebels also executed an onslaught of subversive schemes which necessitated a system-wide quarantine of the entire universe omnicast network of Noatidic. Although the purposeful wisdom of delay was an employed provision and remains in effect as a method to expose the actual resultants of a transgression and defection, the quarantine of Noatidic also remains in force, preventing any further disclosures of privileged and confidential information, and in order to suppress omnicast of rhetoric by rebel impostors who seize the universe omnicast network stations. The quarantine of Noatidic has severed communications throughout the local system of Lanadedia and will remain in effect until the Luce Rebellion is finally adjudicated. The root cause of the rebellion will be discovered in the ongoing trial of Gabriel versus Lucifer before a tribunal of the Ancient of Days. The answers to two key questions remain to be discovered. Was it Lucifer's motive and intent to create a galactic war? Lucifer never proclaimed a call to arms. Did Lucifer actually believe he could initiate positive changes in the Nebadon administration for the benefit of the entire Nebadon population? Further discovery will determine the verdict. Mercy in itself does not expose truth, nor does mercy provide answers to certain questions. Whether or not Lucifer premeditated this deadly war of unprecedented magnitude is a question among many that remains unanswered. Further adjudication will expose Lucifer's most recent defense, which he now declares the rebellion to be essential noncompliance and purposeful default. Ultimately, the truth will prevail.